I told my boss a fake excuse to skip work and met him at the same event. Classic modern tragedy, right? I'm Lara Eng, 30, capable marketer, cautious liar. Or so I believed until I attempted the most harmless fib of my career and watched it implode in real time. It started on a Wednesday morning that tasted like stress and too much instant coffee. The agency where I work was stumbling through our product launch season, and I'd already clocked 60 hours that week, fixing other people's copy decks. So when my best friend Ivy texted, "Free VIP tickets to the Blue Rise Music Festival, Saturday. Come on, you're owed sunlight," I melted. I had a deadline Monday and a supposed internal strategy meeting Saturday to synergize cross-platform narratives, whatever that meant. I couldn't afford the vacation day, but the idea of standing in grass instead of fluorescent light made my brain squeak. Ivy begged. I caved. The problem wasn't skipping work. It was how I confessed it. My boss, Ethan Rao, is the definition of charming efficiency, calm in crisis, allergic to nonsense, frighteningly punctual. Asking for a day off suddenly felt like negotiating with an expensive AI. So, instead of honesty, I panicked out loud. "Ethan," I emailed, "I've got a last-minute family thing this weekend. My cousin's engagement lunch. It's out of town, but I'll have my laptop if anything blows up." He replied 3 minutes later, polite as ever. "Of course, family first. Enjoy." Perfect. Lie deployed. Guilt survived for all of 10 seconds. Saturday arrived. Sunshine, music, the smell of food trucks. Ivy and I waded through the crowd like guilty teenagers skipping class. We danced, we yelled. I took decisive proof of freedom selfies. Around 6 p.m., we queued at a smoothie stall, and I was halfway through a pineapple mint nirvana when Ivy froze. "Lara," she hissed, "isn't that your boss?" I laughed. Very funny. Then I turned, and yes, there he was, 15 feet away. Sunglasses, lanyard, the posture of a man who manages public chaos for a living. Ethan Rao, at my supposed family engagement. Of course, he was VIP. Our agency handled part of the festival's sponsorship logistics. My heart dragged itself somewhere near my ankles. I dropped behind Ivy, like she was human camouflage. "Maybe he won't see us," I whispered. "He's literally walking this way," she said. "Tell them I'm allergic to accountability." Too late. "Lara?" I straightened slowly, smoothie cup trembling in my hand. "Ethan, wow, hi." He grinned, wide, inconveniently friendly. "Small world. I thought you had that engagement lunch out of town." My brain staged a multi-car pileup. "It ended early, surprise. So we came here. For research, branding exposure." "Research," he echoed. "At present moment," I gestured at the main stage like a desperate weather reporter. "Audience demographics, sponsor engagement, the vibes, basically. Work. And it's a concert. Impressive dedication." Before I could run, he added, "Grab a drink with us. The company's tent is right by the stage." "Us? Company's tent?" I glanced left and spotted half our department clustered around branded beanbags, waving casually. Everyone else had been busy that weekend too, apparently. "Come on," Ethan said. "Consider it a team-building coincidence." I wanted the ground to swallow me whole, but curiosity and fear of HR propelled me toward the tent. Coworkers cheered as we arrived. Someone handed me a branded tote. Another snapped a photo. I smiled with grim commitment. Silently writing my own resignation letter. 2 hours later, something surreal happened. The world didn't end. Ethan didn't fire me. He laughed at my half-baked branding research line and asked if I was enjoying actual daylight for once. At some point, while watching the headliner, he leaned over and said quietly, "You know, lying wasn't necessary. I'd have given you the day off." I blinked. "You would? Lara, you haven't taken a weekend in 4 months. I'm flattered you think I'm that scary. But next time, just ask." My face burned hotter than stage lights. "Noted." Without missing a beat, he added, "That said, the initiative of conducting audience vibe research off schedule, gold star commitment." His grin proved he was teasing, but I could tell he'd already decided to file my embarrassment under team folklore. By Monday, the story spread through the office anyway, because someone had posted that cursed group photo on our corporate Slack. Caption: "When your family engagement turns into sponsored festival branding." If it had stopped there, it might have been fine. But no, the incident triggered a domino chain that led to my accidental promotion, an office myth about innovative field strategy, and the strangest team-building assignment I've ever been forced into, with Ethan at another festival 6 weeks later. And that's where the real chaos begins. By Monday morning, I had reached the rare, terrible place where embarrassment turns into comedy. Everyone in the office had seen the photo. Me, sun-dazed and mid-blink at the company tent, holding a smoothie like evidence. The Slack reactions ranged from bye-bye ... to "we love a dedicated analyst." Ethan walked past my cubicle around 10, coffee in hand. "Morning, Lara," he said, far too pleasantly. "Morning, boss." A pause. Then his grin. "Good branding research out there, and pay," I groaned. Never speaking of it again. He chuckled, continuing to his office. For the next 2 days, that was it. No lectures, no disciplinary meeting. Just a string of light teasing from coworkers about my innovative field study. Eventually, life settled back into spreadsheets and campaign calendars. Then, midweek, an email from upper management landed in everyone's inbox. Week. Subject: Request for proposal, live event, brand activation strategy. Strong body. Following the success of the Blue Rise sponsorship, we're exploring a permanent festival outreach initiative. Ethan Rao's team will develop a prototype plan for the next summer circuit. Deadline: 3 weeks. The universe clearly hadn't finished laughing at me. That afternoon, Ethan called me into his office. His tone was choir boy sincere, which made me deeply suspicious. "Lara, since you've already conducted extensive on-site research, I'd like you to lead ideation on this project." I stared. "You're punishing me through irony." He smiled. "No, rewarding creative proactivity. You're our field expert now." "Field expert?" I panicked my way into a smoothie stall. "Great instincts," he said. "It's settled. You and I will present concepts together at the pilot event in 6 weeks." And just like that, my failed lie became part of a company project. In the weeks that followed, I poured every ounce of guilt into making the plan foolproof. I mapped audience flows, interviewed vendors, created a pitch deck with enough color psychology to hypnotize management. Ethan reviewed drafts nightly, offering edits that were, annoyingly, always right. The more we worked, the less terrifying he seemed. Under the meticulous professionalism, he was funny, curious, even a little reckless. He just hit it, inside that tailored calm. One evening, after a long rehearsal of our presentation, he leaned back against his desk. "So, the festival thing," he said. "You're taking a proper day off after that, right? Why? You planning to double book me at a barbecue?" He laughed. "Because contrary to your instincts, rest is not illegal." I rolled my eyes but promised. And for the first time since everything blew up, I felt fine. The joke had changed shape, less humiliation, more absurd origin story. Then came the pilot event itself. Another festival. This time a sleek tech and arts hybrid our agency was courting. We built an interactive booth connecting live music with brand engagement metrics. It was bright, crowded, and loud enough to short-circuit introverts for miles. Ethan and I were supposed to charm sponsors, alternate between professional minimalism and easy banter. He made it look effortless. I, on the other hand, spent the first hour terrified our tent would collapse, or that someone would mention my family engagement hoax. Instead, something else happened. A gust of wind sent one of the display banners toppling directly toward an executive guest. Without thinking, I dove, catching both banner and smoothie before impact. The crowd erupted into applause. Ethan joined in, laughing so hard he doubled over. "My star employee," he said when I straightened, drink still intact. "Saving lives and refreshments." I prefer the term multitasking. By the end of the night, the campaign worked beyond all projections. Our live feedback app crashed from traffic. The client called it organic proof of success. To celebrate, the company planned a small dinner for the project leads, meaning Ethan and me. Over pasta and after 2 glasses of wine, he said, "For what it's worth, I'm glad you lied." I choked on a breadstick. That sentence belongs nowhere near my HR file. He grinned, because if you hadn't, we'd never have built this project. Sometimes disasters are just ideas in disguise. I laughed, shaking my head. "Still, I owe you an apology." "Accepted months ago," he said. "You just took the scenic route." The dinner might have ended there, but before dessert he added casually, "Also, there's another festival next quarter. The client wants the same energy." I told them we'd attend together. I blinked. "You mean for work?" "Officially, yes," he said. "Unofficially, consider it your second chance to call in truthfully this time." The implication made me blush so hard I blamed the wine. That new festival, the one that started replacing ironic jokes with something absolutely not professional, became the next chapter of our odd story, and that's where things stopped being about accidental research and started being about us. 6 weeks later, there we were again. Different festival, same nervous energy. The client had booked an art and tech conference by the shore and wanted the entire brand with real people experience. Ethan and I arrived a day early to check the installation. Everything gleamed. Interactive screens, mood lights, our logo printed on reusable cups. "This time let's avoid personal scandals," I joke as we unpacked promo bags. He smirked. "If I see even one relative engagement excuse on your email, you're fired." "Noted," I said, feeling oddly relaxed. The embarrassment that used to catch fire behind my ribs was finally gone. He'd somehow converted the whole fiasco into folklore. Our origin myth, traded for laughs every time new employees joined. The first evening, the festival kicked off with a networking dinner on the beach. Bonfires, acoustic music, name tags glinting in firelight. Ethan and I wandered among the crowd, answering sponsor questions and collecting a ridiculous number of s'mores offers. Under the wind and lanterns, he looked less like my boss and more like someone human. Around midnight, the crowd thinned, leaving just us by the shoreline, shoes off, ankles in cold water. He skipped a shell across the tide, then said, "Remember how you told that lie because you thought I'd say no?" I groaned. "You said we weren't bringing that up again. Humor me." "Yes, I remember," I said. He smiled, hands in his pockets. "Next time, just tell me you need a day. Or 10. You've earned them." "I've been taking them," I admitted. "Turns out I'm terrible at rest, but I'm practicing." "Good," he said, and after a pause, quietly added, "For what it's worth. I get it." That weekend at Blue Rise was the most spontaneous fun I've had in years. Even if it started with your elaborate fiction, something in his tone made the air shift. Not heavy, just honest. The sound of the waves filled the silence between us. Then he grinned again, salvation in humor. Of course, now I'll have to double-check every sick day form you turn in. I snorted. Fair. And for the record, I haven't lied since. Not even small ones? Only about how much dessert I eat. He laughed, and the tension broke like a current snapping back. The next day, the event ran flawlessly. Our activation drew crowds, sponsors gushed. Social media loved it. When the final set wrapped, Ethan handed me a wrapped box from the merch tent. A festival hoodie. On the back, embroidered in bold white thread, were the words, "Honest Research Team." I nearly doubled over laughing. Now everyone will know. Exactly, he said. Full transparency culture. Months later, that phrase became our unofficial department slogan. It hung on a banner above our workspace. Full transparency, preferably with beach access. Whenever new hires asked about its origin, we'd exchange looks and tell the sanitized version. How a spontaneous field experiment led to a permanent partnership between our agency and a major client. Nobody needed to know about the lie that planted it, or the strange friendship that grew from surviving it. On my 1-year work anniversary, Ethan left a small card on my desk. Inside was a single line in his neat script. Next time you need a break, just clock out properly, no engagement required. I added below in marker, deal. But invite me if you ever research another festival. We keep that card pinned on the office board, the quiet reminder of the weird weekend that started everything. Because the truth, I've learned, will absolutely find you in a crowd. Sometimes it shows up with sunglasses, a smoothie, and just enough grace to laugh with you after.